Hi, I'd like to read you one of my poems called The Superhero. We all like a superhero. I hope you like this one. This is the story of Reginald Crabb. It's a name that you may not have heard. He wasn't the type that made women go, ooh. More the type that they all called a nerd. Born out of wedlock and left in a bin and deprived of a mum and a dad. The first 20 years of young Reginald's life were the worst 20 years that he'd had. He didn't make friends because he didn't look cool. He was weedy and spotty and square. His pink plastic glasses were milk bottle thick and his anorak made people stare. Despite his appearance, he couldn't care less because his interests lay not in his looks. He spent every day watching Superman films and all night reading Spider-Man books. Void of a dad to look up to and love, he adopted his heroes instead. He never considered they might not be real. The idea never entered his head. At 20 years old, all he wanted to be was a hero who just couldn't fail. But sadly for Reg, he looked more like that twit, Postman Pat, but a little less male. One day in a phone box he nearly got killed, putting Superman's trick to the test. Dressed as Clark Kent, he span round at great speed, but he strangled himself in his vest. The Invisible Man was a nightmare as well, and it's one he regrets having tested. Completely unseen, he went out in the nude, but he was, and was promptly arrested. He didn't attempt the Incredible Hulk on account of his delicate size. His Spider-Man days didn't last long at all because he made himself sick eating flies. He had many idols, but none could surpass the affection he had for Bruce Wayne, aka Batman to those in the know. To become him was Reginald's aim. On his 21st birthday, his costume arrived. In the cloak, he looked brave and defiant. He put on his bat mask and drove down the street in his bat car. Well, Robin reliant. The kids would all shout, "Look, there's Batman!" and Robin, as they all passed him by on their bikes. They just didn't realise that Reginald Crabb would be there when catastrophe strikes. At dawn every morning, he'd don his disguise and he'd back his car out of the cave. When he called it a cave, it was more like a shed. Then he'd zoom round the town looking brave. He'd been 21 for a couple of months and he'd solved not one singular case. Gotham City, it seems, is a mecca for crime. But St Ives wasn't that sort of place. His bat phone was silent. The thing wouldn't ring. No one wanted a hero, it seems. Then one day by chance, while patrolling the streets, he was stopped by a young woman's screams. "Please help me, come quickly," she yelled in his ear. Reg could sense the despair in her plea. "Is the world going to end?" "Not exactly," she said, "it's my cat. It's got stuck up a tree." A shade disappointed. "No problem," he said, but it was because he couldn't stand heights. And not only that, you should never climb trees when your pants are on top of your tights. Reg gritted his teeth and he climbed up the tree to the cat who was perched on the summit. He reached out to grab it. His knickers fell down and he tripped and he started to plummet. As he fell through the air, he accepted his fate. For the briefest of moments, Reg flew. He crashed to the ground with a smile on his face. He'd at last made a woman go, ooh. He made the front pages. The cat had survived. As you know, cats are blessed with 9 lives. Reginald Crabb was a hero at last, and they made him the mayor of St Ives. His Robin Reliant was swapped for a Rolls. He was no longer seen as a joke. His bat days were over. He hung up his mask. But he still wears a sexy black cloak. Thank you for that. I've got some more poems on YouTube. Take a listen. Thanks for listening to this one. Bye.